Dude, what's up, man?
Just chilling in sunny Boca Raton, Florida.
It is sunny down here.
It is.
It's sunny up there, though, too, isn't it?
It is.
Nashville. You're not even in Nashville.
I'm outside of
You
Nashville.
can't even say I live in Nashville.
I don't
really.
want to say I live in Nashville.
Why would you ever want to say you live in Nashville? I'm sorry, David. I shouldn't say that.
Maybe if you're in the music industry.
There's a lot of people in the music industry up there.
There's a lot of music industryers.
Now, how many people... We chatted a little bit about this last night. How many people are in the music industry?
All of them.
All of them.
All of the people and all of the land.
Everybody who works at Walmart.
Everybody.
Everybody who serves breakfast in the morning. Everybody who delivers mail. Are the mailmen looking to be country music stars?
Well, they deliver the mail to people in the music industry, which means they're in the music industry.
Do you think they slide like their little MP3 thing in there, in the mail? Like they go by the big producers.
Just check out this. I just put a couple notes in here.
Just check it out, man. Check it out. Well, you live out in the middle of nowhere, though, now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more nowhere than Boca.
Oh, yeah.
Does it feel good?
I love it.
You do?
I don't have to see anyone, ever.
Ever. Like, you can go a week without seeing anybody, theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you done that yet?
Yes. Yes, I have.
You have, haven't you?
Yeah. I put this little alarm system on my driveway so I get notified anytime somebody's coming up.
Like, they just, as they roll on, is it the little laser one? Or don't tell anybody. Yeah. You don't want to tell anybody what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's an alarm. Is it like a notification alarm?
Oh, no. It goes out through the whole house.
Like it's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Is it that intense?
No.
I mean,
but the dogs know it now. Griffin's ready to tear some shit up if he has to.
That dog's ferocious, bro.
He's a mean dude.
I'm telling you what, like, I would not want to mess with that dog.
He's getting meaner in his old age.
I'm sure he is, just like we are.
He's 77.
Although I'm not getting me. He's 77.
Yeah.
That dog years, right?
Yep.
People say that seal years are equal to dog years.
Well, then I should be dead again.
Shawn Ryan. What's up, brother?
I'm just happy to be here.
Dude, I can't even thank you enough.
Weekend.
It has been.
Yeah.
It has been. I'm glad we spent 2 days chilling first.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that would have been a big difference to just come in that day, that night, you walk in, we get on this thing, and we just go for there.
Straight to business.
Straight to business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't do that.
I like a little playtime.
We did.
We
did. Yeah, for sure. And you got to hang out with the kids and Jonna, and that's awesome.
It was.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. But let's get down to it, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, first question, man. Listen, when you're 17 years old and you're living in St. Louis, and you're putting your dad through some significant challenges from what do we call it, from whatever, dropping from the sky.
Yeah.
And
fireworks, booze, and porn stashed in the ceiling. I mean, what else do you need? As a teenager,
as a 17-year-old kid, man. Nowadays, it's like it's 10 times as intense, right? Yeah. Right? They're not just hiding old Playboys in the ceiling. They're not just skimming off a dad's beer here and there, a little bit of vodka. I mean, they're going full blown. Kids nowadays, they have terabytes worth of pornography, right? They have every type of opiate drug you can imagine. They have all different kinds of illegal stuff, and it's not in their ceiling. They have their own lockbox, right? Their own safe in the room that parents aren't allowed to touch.
Fingerprint entry.
Right? Their own private stash, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not right, man. But all right, so you're in that space, and all of a sudden, what in your wildest dreams, why would you ever want to take the person that you were and that you would become, your identity, how you saw yourself as it related to where you grew up, your neighborhood, the people, your friends, and just flip that on its friggin' head and join the Navy to become a Navy SEAL? Why would you ever want to do that?
I think for a lot of reasons. I mean, I was a horrible student. So,
I mean, how bad is horrible?
So I would say anywhere from D's to B's.
D's to B's. That's a good range, though.
You know?
That's respectable.
But it was always like I would get a whole bunch of D's, and then I would get some motivation from my from my dad to bring the grades up a little bit, and they'd rise. You know, it's like the stock market, right? They rise and fall.
They call that volatility in the stock market.
Yeah. And then we had a crash. So
now, was it like the world famous crashes of all the people you hear about? Like, oh, he had two choices, right? The judge gave him two choices. You either go to jail or you go in the military. Was it like that, or was it just?
It wasn't that bad.
It was an internal crash.
It was. I felt like I really disappointed everyone, for one. You know, because I really didn't. I mean, I just didn't give a shit about school at all. The only reason I would even attempt to pull my grades up was to get ungrounded so that I could, get back to the party life. But and that was it. I didn't care about anything anybody was saying in class. There's nothing really interested me outside of art. And
really,
yeah.
Really? Did you like to draw? Did you like to paint? What was it about?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Really?
I just like the creative outlet, I think. I'm not any good at any of it. But that's the only class that I really enjoyed. Maybe PE. I don't think they have that anymore.
Now, what kind of art were you doing? I mean, were you just sketching on your classroom desk, you know, those old desks we'd sit in?
Yeah.
Or did you have like reams of hidden notebooks stashed with your porn and all the other stuff?
No, wasn't that intense.
Yeah, it was just you like to draw.
Yeah, I just like drawing and painting, and I just like to be creative.
Wow.
You know? And that was pretty much the only class that I
excelled
really enjoyed.
All right, so you hit this point. Your old man looks at you, and did he put you to it? I mean, or did he run you an ultimatum, or was it in your own head?
Oh, no, it was in my own head, you know. And I got off track there. But, no, I mean, ever since I was just a little dude, you know, I was playing with G.I. Joes.
Me too.
It's like as early as I can remember. You know, I was building forts and shit, saving my money to go buy string.
Did you go to like
to make a bow and arrow? Like,
did you go to like the local whatchamacallit place, the Navy, like the Army surplus store, and get the camis and have the face paint? Did you go that route? Did you go full tilt?
Yeah, but I mean, my dad, when I was in fourth grade, he didn't enlist. He commissioned in the Army, so. You know, I would gank his uniforms and shit like that, run around. But, yeah, if I wasn't playing with G.I. Joes, then I was out in the woods carving spears and making bow and arrows and
building punji pits.
Yeah.
How many punji pits did you build and leave out there, right?
A lot.
How many punji pits with, what do you call them, the tiger things or whatever? How many random punji pits are still scattered around the country, right? From when the first time you watch Rambo or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
More. I mean, people are probably still finding them today. But yeah, all that stuff. You know, I was always interested in it. And then back then there was Desert Storm. You know, and so, and I hated reading. I still can't stand reading to this day. You know, I wish I did, but I just don't have the attention span. And but I would just buy all these magazines and picture books and shit of all the guys deployed to, you know, in Desert Storm. And, you know, then we came back from Germany and moved to Chillicothe, Missouri, which is not right outside St. Louis, actually about 3 hours, I think. And a small farm town. And
you said 6,000 people.
Yeah, something right around
couple
there.
Stoplights, Dairy Queen, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing to do in town is, go to Walmart. So it's the kind of place where, they open the super Walmart, shut down the regular one, and they cancel school so the band can go play, for the opening. But once I got there, I was more into getting drunk and chasing women and that kind of shit. And it got to the point where, I don't know what age, maybe sophomore, junior, you start looking at what schools you want to go to, and they start having career days and college days. And no, I think the only reason it really interested me at all was because everybody else was looking at school and what colleges they were going to go to, and
that peer pressure, man.
Yeah, and I didn't have the grades for it to get in, anyways. I don't think,
right?
Let alone with any, financial assistance. And my dad was really unhappy with my academic performance, and basically it turned into a big argument, and I had already been talking to the recruiters the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember the first day you went in?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the recruiter office looked like? Was it in a strip mall? Was it in where was it?
It was, they were all in a line, right next to each other.
Yeah.
Actually the first one was the Army, and they weren't having it. And then the Navy and the Marine Corps recruiter were right next to each other. So Navy was actually the last thing on my mind. I was like, I don't want to be in,
chip and paint.
I want to go to war. I don't,
right.
You know what I mean? And which is why I picked the Army, because I was watching Platoon and Apocalypse Now and
the
Discovery Channel,
seminal influences, right, of a young boy, trying to figure out what his masculinity looks like.
Commando,
right?
Rambo, all those, And but I really liked what I consider the more realistic ones, like Platoon and Apocalypse Now, and the Vietnam era. Just, always like infatuated me.
Yeah, me too.
And anyways, Army was like, you're going infantry. You got to go infantry. I was like, nah, I want to be a Ranger or a Green Beret. No. So I was like, all right, well, kiss my ass. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to go, I want to do this. And I wanted to be special operations. And so I went to the Marine Corps. Same thing. I had heard about recon. And, they gave me the sales spiel.
Yep.
And I wasn't buying that, and the Navy recruiter popped his head out and asked me if I had ever thought about being a SEAL.
Being someone special.
Yeah, right. And so I got a pamphlet, went home, researched it, watched all the Discovery Channel specials, and
was it the old one, or the guys coming up? They all had the Tom Selleck mustaches. They're popping out.
Yeah.
It's Pepper Tagle's on the front of that. Yeah.
Like the 90s one.
Yeah.
And do you know Herschel Davis?
Oh, yeah.
So he was my neighbor.
In St. Louis. Herschel Davis was
your neighbor.
Get out of here.
So I saw this special, and
he's in it.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, that's my neighbor. So I went to try to talk to him, and he was... He'd already checked out. So, but I remember seeing this guy, and he lived on
mentoring your ass.
He was like checked out, as in like packed all his shit and moved to California, or I don't know where.
Right.
But he had this corner lot, and everybody used to drive through his yard. We called it yard farming, and I used to see this crazy old man out there setting all these booby traps up and shit, trying to catch who was driving through his yard. Yeah. I always thought he was a crazy old man, and then
turns out he was
there
a
he is on
Vietnam
Discovery. Yeah, I'm like, holy shit!
He's one of the baddest dudes in the teams.
I've still never met him to this day, and yeah. So, anyways, so I decided that's what I wanted to do, and went and started doing what I needed to do to get into MEPS, you know, and
ASVAB whole deal.
Yeah.
Did you score well in the ASVAB?
I don't remember, man. I
scored enough.
I know I'm not an ASVAB waiver, but but I don't know how much higher I am. But yeah. So and then me and my dad got into a tiff, you know, and over grades, and he had pretty much expressed that he wasn't gonna pay for my school, and I mean, shit, I don't blame him. I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I said, oh well, I don't fucking need you to pay for school because this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm going to be a SEAL.
Yeah, and that immediately changed the tone of everything.
With him?
Yeah.
Your relationship?
Yeah, well,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't. I mean, if I was a dad and I was pissed off about grades and, you know, I mean, he was not happy.
No.
And then something like that came out of my kid. I mean, that's like, you know, talk about getting blindsided.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that was on.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that I remember so vividly was that I knew I needed to do something different. I knew I needed to challenge myself in a much more profound way, right? But there was a part of me was still very rooted in this fear that I didn't know what I was going to become. I didn't know who I could measure up to. I didn't have any idea how I was going to rate against the success of my father, the success of you know, all these other things. And I had this fear, but I knew that if I went towards the fear, right, I embraced the fear a little bit, that somehow, some way, that journey was going to teach me more about what I wanted to know. Were you afraid of this decision at all, or were you just so gung-ho to get away from your current environment and you just felt like in that space, whatever it looked like out there, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you had, whether it was Rogue Warrior or any, you know, Charlie Sheen, whatever you had imagined and created for what the SEAL teams could be, were you afraid of that at all?
No, not at that. I didn't start getting scared until it was like on the plane to Buds from Virginia Beach.
From Virginia Beach, yeah.
And because I did, you know, that was when we had to do the A school thing.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it seemed so far away. Actually, I take that back. The screen test was an eye opener.
Yeah.
You know,
I failed mine in boot camp the first time. And I was the RPOC of my thing and all that, dude. It was miserable. I was like, oh shit.
Damn. Yeah. No, I didn't have any problems with the screen test, but you know, once I had something to focus my energy on, and you got to remember too, I was fucking 17 years old.
That's what blows my mind, because I remember all the kids that came through, right? The just fresh out of high school, fresh out of, I mean, still going through puberty essentially,
Yeah.
right? And the one that really sticks out in my mind above all others, aside from you, right? You and this other guy were the ones that I just were vivid, right? Was Nick Hawks. And Nick was from Indiana. You know, he was a, you know, 5 foot whatever, 130 pounds soaking wet. And he walked around with this bravado and you know, this confidence in him that it was so confusing to me, because here inside my own head, I'm riddled with fear. You know, am I going to fall off the slide for life? Am I going to get singled out today? Am I going to fail my run? Like every day I just have this fear of I'm going to do something wrong. It's going to end. You know what I mean? And this kid's just, either he was so cocky or self-confident, or he could hide that fear just really well. I still to this day, he's like, I said, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. Did you have some of that with that youth?
Well, in Buds, yeah, I was getting scared, you know, but I wasn't, I wasn't scared of any particular evolution, but yeah, I was scared shitless of what my peers thought. I mean, that's one of the first things they ingrain into you. And
this is a real profound thing, and I don't mean to cut you off, but this is the thing that I really don't think the world that pays attention to you and I and all the other guys out there doing stuff like we do, or whether it's Rangers or whatever, they don't recognize the magnitude of what that peer evaluation is like. And when was the first time you really felt the intensity of that? Do you remember?
I remember the first time I really realized how intense it could be was when I had a weak guy and a very obviously weaker than everybody else in the boat crew, and I was log PT, and and I remember feeling like that anger and hatred towards that individual, and then I remember getting punished as a team for him, and then I remember like all of us bonding together and literally kicking him and trampling over him. Like, you're not doing us any good, and the instructors would be over focused on another boat crew doing log PT. And I mean, we'd push him down, and like then it was, you're always running with those things.
Yeah.
We'd literally run over him, kick sand on him until he was gone, because he was, I mean, not only was he not putting out, but then we're getting extra attention,
because of
which is extra
punishment,
pain and suffering and essentially PT because of him. So we just wanted to get rid of him and then get the next guy in,
For me, that's the fascinating aspect, right? Everybody, if you're not used to it or you never lived with it, you hear a story like that and you're like, my God, that's pretty harsh. But what people are not assimilating when they hear that is the intensity that you feel that you have these instructors, these gods, right? These guys that were, steely-eyed killers, right? All around you, and they're later, none of that is true, but they're all around you in their blue shirts and their shorts, and they're just hard as nails, and you're like, I can't show them my fear, so I need to protect that, and I need to be vicious like I think they need to be. And you're like, oh, you're not going to measure up. Here, why don't you take my boot in the back of your head, and why don't you quit, by the way, when you're suffering? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it happens so quickly. It's not like it takes years for all of a sudden this mindset to click in, right? This intense offensive state of survival. It happens like that.
Yeah.
Were there any other parts that you really felt that there was a distinguished difference between those who could embrace their fear and become stronger within that than those the guys that just they couldn't bear the burden of that evaluation process from internally your boat crew or instructors?
I mean, I think the process starts really fast, but I feel like there's steps to it. I still don't understand it completely because I was never, attached to training. But, I saw the hatred that we had, and then I worried like, oh shit, like that's real. I don't want to be that guy. And then no matter who you are, they make you that. The instructors find a way to make you that guy. Even if you are the baddest motherfucker in the class, they will make you look like the biggest shitbag.
Period.
And, and I remember when they made me look like the biggest shitbag, that, that's no fun.
No.
And it got to me.
I remember.
But they pass, they move
pass
along.
it around. They pass it around.
Along.
For me, it was really like once you settle in, you make it through Hell Week, which is in and of itself got this immense component of fear. But once you're through it, you're like, whoa, okay. I know now I'm not going to get killed. I know now it's training. My body can go a lot further. But it's funny, the further in you go, that sense of evaluation, right? That sense of peer review intensifies. It doesn't fall off.
It gets
right?
worse.
It gets worse and worse and worse. And I remember I graduate buds. My jump class isn't for like 4 months. And so there was, out of 209 there, I think there was 9 of us that were medics. And so our medic class started that summer. So they put jump class right before. So they broke us up on the West Coast. They sent 4 of us to team 5, a couple to team 1, a couple to team 3. Well, I went to team 5, and they immediately put me in the mastered arms shack. And every day, all day, I was cleaning the toilets, cleaning up cigarette butts around the platoon huts, and just getting hammered as a new guy. And it was vicious. Mm-hmm. It was like, and I remember like, holy shit. Wait a minute, I'm a Buds graduate. Wait a minute, I'm a tough dude. And it was 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, like going from SQT to your team and what that was like?
I didn't know what the hell to expect at all. I didn't know anybody that was there already, I was just buddies with the guys that were in my class. But we showed up, and I checked in with a friend. We drove over together to Team 8, and I remember meeting my platoon chief, and I was like, oh shit, like this is the real deal here, And then, but I was like right out the door, it was like, oh yeah, you're going. Hey, welcome to SEAL Team 8. There's your locker. Here's your orders. Get the fuck out of here. You're going to armory school. And I was like, oh, okay.
See ya.
Where's armory school? Yeah. And
is it across the street?
Yeah, they're like, oh
it's
no,
in Indiana.
It's in Indiana. You got to be there in 3 days or whatever it was. And I was like, how do I get there? But they don't tell you anything.
They don't tell you anything.
And I'm like, well, shit. All right, I guess I'm going to Bloomington, Indiana, or wherever.
Yeah.
Crane.
Yeah.
And so. And I never really got. Then the next time I got really nervous, and was when we platooned up to go to land warfare.
Yeah.
And we came out of ProDev, which was the schools, and I showed up probably on the ass end of ProDev. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't like a whole 6 months of, hey, you're going to sniper school, comm school, JTAC. I got like one quick boring school, and then
that was it.
Yeah, and then we were going to land warfare. And that's the first time you see the whole platoon at once. And that's when I was like, oh, shit, man. There's, like, only a couple of us new guys. And, like, this is post 9/11. So.
It's real.
Yeah, some of these guys had already been there and back.
Yeah.
And then we were going to be, this was before, man, so many things happened. I can't remember the names of all of them, but this was at Force 21.
Yeah.
But right before it kicked in, so we were going to be in a strike platoon, which was like on a ship, mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know because I never did one. But anyways, they did away with it, and they're like, you're going to Afghanistan. And it was like, oh, shit, all right. And then right after that, the surge happened, mm-hmm. So then we got transferred immediately over to Team 2, and it was you're out the door, and you're not going to Afghanistan, you're going to Europe. But, man, I'm way off track here. But it was...
Well, the big thing that I want everybody to recognize is that, and I think what's critical and what I always try and talk about with Froglogic is, man, with each stage that you mature, right? Because obviously you're going to war, mm-hmm. right? And you manage that fear in a really healthy way. You come back, you gain confidence, it keeps building on itself. But man, that confidence in the fear that your peers around you are always judging you.
Yeah.
For me, that was the thing that was so profound. That was the thing that I was more worried about what my teammates thought of me mm-hmm. than worried about whether or not I was going to, my chute wouldn't open or I'd get shot or blown up or something like that. That was the biggest fear I had.
I used to have nightmares about that.
Wow.
Like literally you never had one of those where you lost something or you were on an op and you like forgot the fucking radio.
Oh, bro.
Or you were on an op and you forgot your gun and you're like stuck in this dream, and then you wake up and you're like, holy shit.
Oh, bro, I lived that nightmare, dude. In
Yeah.
STT, I was in the first conjoined class in STT. We were doing a combat swimmer ops, 32nd Street. It was a ship attack. Me and my partner, God bless him, old Cokes. We were last ones there. We got totally lost underwater. Last ones there. The whole fan is covered in limpets. The struts are covered. There's no space for us. So we try and wedge it into one little spot, right? We hear a light clink. We're out. We got to get to the rendezvous because we're so far, right?
Yeah.
Sure as shit, divers go in, pull them all out. Miss and dive pair 42, right?
Yep. Yep.
And we had to go back, get back in the water. We searched the entire that whole thing. They had everybody, and then we had to go back. We didn't even go home that night. We went back. Everybody went jocked up. We all jumped back. I mean, it was, and then I was that guy, and I remember it was debilitating.
Yeah,
it was debilitating.
I did that. I had one in Kodiak.
Yeah,
with a rubber gun, and. Yeah, the entire class got to miss out on the bar scene because, I mean, it's hard to take a rubber gun seriously when you're humping around the fucking mountains of Kodiak, Alaska, and there's bears and all this shit all over the place. You know, the alpha predators or apex predators or whatever. And I used mine as a walking stick and a machete because I couldn't get through it. I just went...
Just hack and throw it.
And I lost it. I set it down at a perimeter and forgot it, and then had to tell somebody. And the next thing you know, the whole class is back out there, you know, holding hands, combing the
Fod walk down in the forest,
combing the tundra for a fucking rubber weapon. But you know, it starts real quick. You know, I mean, shit. First phase right after Hell Week, what do you get? You get peer evaluations, and you write down the top 5 people in your class and the bottom 5 people, and you never want to write anybody.
I was so thankful we didn't have to do that when I was in. That came later when you guys were going through.
I think it's important, but it really sets the tone. Like, don't fuck around,
right?
You know, and I remember hearing, you know, your reputation is everything. It starts now, and they aren't shitting.
No,
it does start. Starts yesterday, you know.
Yeah.
And the peer evaluations was the next thing that really I was like, oh man, like I hope nobody writes my fucking name down, you know. But,
totally. And I think one of the amazing things, and again, it goes back. There's this common perception of our community, of the teams, and what our culture is all about is this wonderfully cohesive, supportive organization that through thick and thin, no matter what, you're always going to be able to count on each other. And, you know, and that is absolutely true when you are downrange. For the most part, I wouldn't call it absolutely true. There's always the fraction of percent that there might be the one turd that's there. But man, when you're not in that one individual space and time, and that evaluation, it loiters, it lingers, it carries with you into relationships, it carries with you into your friends that aren't in the military, and it just becomes this thing that just stays with you year after year after year. I mean, even to the point where, man, I still sometimes feel that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that pressure still to this day?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, fucking social media. No, I'm not joking though.
Right.
Because I mean, yeah, I do feel it. You know, it's I didn't do as many years as him or this guy. You know, I mean, look, the honest truth about the SEAL teams, it's like a fucking sewing circle. We're like a bunch of sixth grade girls talking shit about each other, and. But yeah, you know, on social media, I mean, you reunite almost with guys that you haven't seen. I mean, shit, I'm whatever you want to call it, Instagram relationships or you know, social media relationships with people that I haven't seen, and I mean, shit, 10 years plus.
Oh, dude, I'm longer than that, man. I mean, I've been out since the Depression, and it's right. But it's so funny. I think it's a component of society that it really permeates across all organizational cultures, right? And especially if you come from one particular culture that's considered above the rest, right? Mm-hmm. There's this perception of what it is, but there's also this reality of what it is. And for me, it's always been those pressures. It's always been the pressures to live up to something that might not be attainable, because it becomes almost the SEAL ethos, if you will. And that came after me, but I cannot live up to that ethos day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. And so, it took me a long, long time to release myself of that burden, to recognize that I do fail. I'm not perfect. I do struggle with relationships. I sometimes judge in a bad way. And so, my question for you is, did you feel as if it intensified when you went over to the agency at all? Or were you so good at managing it then that, because I remember when we connected there was a lot of frustration in you, right? And I remember I was trying to fake it, right? Yeah. I was trying to pull out this fake attitude from what I was before, which was an angry frogman, to now I'm trying to be this happy-go-lucky guy that can integrate with people that I might not have respect for because they didn't go through SEAL training, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody has to be a SEAL to do their job efficiently, but that's the brainwashing for us. And so what I want to ask you is, did that carry with you that fear of peer evaluation, and also the way you reciprocate that evaluation on other people?
I think, yeah, it definitely carried over, but it was different. It was a lot because in the teams, it was very confrontational, in your face, not a whole lot of passive aggressiveness, and in the agency, it's not like that.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's like, they're going to fucking hate you, and if they don't want you there, then you won't have any idea until it's, hey, by the way, you're on this plane. What plane? Where am I going?
Window or aisle?
You're going back to headquarters.
What?
Do not return.
Ever.
And so I always kept that in mind, but we had a standard that I thought needed to be upheld. And when I would see weak links in the team, you bet your ass I would be on them, mm-hmm. And I mean, and I think it was I think it it was needed,
In the moment, I agree. And this is something that I struggle with today, right? Especially when I'm out there doing performance coaching with a team or with an individual or whatever. You people are like, well, how did you guys maintain that focus for as long as you were able to maintain it? And my answer to always that is, well, there's a couple things, right? One, the very real fear of getting killed or getting your buddy killed, that keeps you pretty focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a game. You're not playing baseball. You're not playing. There's no, you know what I mean? It's real. You're not gonna lose a bunch of clients, or your sales are gonna go down if you fuck up. Someone's gonna die, and so that keeps you very focused. And I think because of that, it creates. I don't know if it's not I don't believe it's a healthy space, but a needed space for that intensity of evaluation, that review, that peer process. But now, and then going to work for the agency where the peer review is much more subversive. It comes in, they do it when nobody's thinking, when you don't even think they're doing it, they're writing notes about you or whatever. But for me, where the big thing was, when I got out, that that internal requirement for me to want to evaluate and judge other people and hold them to the SEAL standard,
Yeah.
like I carried that with me for a long period of time, and it debilitated me to such a point where I was frustrated all day, every day.
Nobody could measure up.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody could measure up ordering a latte at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Nobody could measure up in their vehicle turning in an efficient way to get off the highway, right? I mean, all of these very mundane, normal things that people prefer to go at their own pace and time, I'm losing my mind on. Did you experience a similar thing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was bad. It was real bad. And, but then I went right back to the agency, so I didn't have much time to where it affected me, but I wasn't even working, and I'd made only a couple of friends, but and it didn't take long for me to realize, holy shit, I'm not ready for civilian life, and and I was young, shit, I got in at 18 and I was fucking out by 24.
Wow.
And then back in the agency, I'm gonna bet I was probably 25.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much time for anything to sink in. I was still, doing shit that
Platoon guys did.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. When you made, because fear is this interesting thing for all of us. It's all we all face it because we all have it in our brains, right? We're wired for it. We've been taught it our whole lives. I think we learn it in a much different way once you go through the program and you go through all that we went through. You adjust to it differently. But what you do is when you become so efficient at adjusting to fear in one place in your life, you lose perspective on other places, right? With relationships of people that aren't cut from the same cloth. I remember and still to this day, still struggle with those types of relationships, trying to say, what do I have in common with these people? Nothing. Why should I even invest myself? I'm just going to be let down and frustrated, instead of going, man, I should really get to know a different perspective, because obviously the perspective I came from is very dysfunctional once it's outside of the war environment, right? Mm-hmm. How do I learn and adapt? What have you done for that transition? I know you released a video recently about social anxiety, and you had those great 6 tips on it that really, I think, it's obvious a lot of people are affected by it. Is there more than just those 6 things for you, and how you approach that? Or how do you look at that adaptive necessity and peer review from a whole different way? You can't do the peer review we did in the teams. It's a whole new one now.
I'm still figuring that out, but the steps that I took, honestly, therapy, I was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
And but finding a therapist and going religiously, and at first it wasn't fun. It wasn't anything I wanted to do, but I just, you can't go through life beating the shit out of everybody that you disagree with, or getting your ass kicked, trying to beat their ass and yelling at people. And, and it's fucking hard, man. You see all these fucking books written by SEALs and Green Berets and Delta and Rangers, and it's all these military leadership lessons. And I got to be honest with you, I think it's all bullshit. I can't think of one aspect of being a leader in the military that fucking carries over to civilian life, because you have repercussions in the military. You can yell at people. You can do pretty much, you can do a lot of things to motivate somebody into doing their job. And you can't do shit like that in the civilian world. It's a gentler, and it's just a different way that you have to learn to
work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, people aren't like that.
No.
90. I mean, there's a reason why
It's
there's
the 1%.
not, but you get these guys coming out, to include myself, and you try to build a team. And, I started my business, 3 or 4 years ago, and that shit doesn't work at all.
Let me ask you this. I want to back up because I think the therapy aspect is it was massive for me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pivotal shift in my existence, really. Because even though I had spent, I first started seeing a therapist about 2 years ago, talking to one regularly, right, when I was going through my divorce. And prior to that, I'd read 5-6 books on post-traumatic stress. I had read, I don't even know how many psychology books. I had, everything you could do to try and evaluate. I'd gotten into my faith. I was my Christianity. I was doing all the right things, but I wasn't improving. And every aspect of my life was suffering. But when I started talking to Chris, man, and thanks to Tyler out there, I really appreciate buddy for introducing me to Chris. It was a real definitive shift in the recognition that my self-confidence wasn't going to take a beating because I needed help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've worked so hard from the time in college, going into the teams, building myself up, getting an identity, becoming accomplished, becoming a warrior, all that, all to the realization that just intensified my problems, because my problems were inside and in my head and in my heart, and I needed to work through that stuff in order to be able to assimilate better into civilian society. Were you worried about your self-confidence when you started going to therapy? You would slide way down into the abyss of self-loathing, right? Where like 2 days later you'd be cutting, or you'd be suicidal inclinations all the time. I mean, was it that extreme? Were you worried about it would be that extreme, or were you pretty positive about it?
I mean, I was not really that scared to go because I just didn't have anything else left to do.
Wow.
And I still didn't even think I needed help. I was
really,
I had no fucking clue. But I did know.
Why?
I did know.
Why did you?
Because we have that mindset ingrained.
Me too.
Into us.
Yeah. I can figure it out.
And
if I just grit my teeth, put my head down, keep pushing the dirt forward, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it was kind of like I wasn't expecting anything out of it. I was like, well, let's see how this goes. And it took a long time even after I went because, what the fuck did I know about therapy? I showed up and I'm like looking at the color of the wall and looking at why is that plant in that particular spot? And then I thought the only thing I needed to talk about was, combat, which I really didn't even talk much about that. I mean, shit, for the first while, we just sat there and fucking stared at each other, and then I would open up a little bit. But then, you start talking about, once you kind of let them in, and you just start talking about your day, what pissed you off? Why did that piss you off? But it's not, I don't know, for those people that, it's not like you're playing the 20 questions game with a therapist, like, well, why do you feel like that? It's not like that. It's not like that.
Oh, that was such a relief.
Yeah.
When I felt that's not what it was.
Yeah.
Right? Where it wasn't going to be so meticulously dissecting every feeling and every thought.
Yeah.
When I realized that's not what it was, I too had this relief come over me.
Yeah.
And it actually opened up my desire to want to continue the dialogue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's when I really started opening up and just, you're just building a relationship with somebody essentially that's really good at, figuring out, the human
condition.
And just I got to the point where, I mean, I got to the point where I looked forward to it, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
Like it became like going to the gym where you were going to get gains, right?
This was the only routine I had.
Wow.
Was to go to therapy.
Wow.
I didn't have my business at first. I didn't have anything. You know, I wasn't talking to my parents. I wasn't talking to family. I wasn't, you know, all my friends are still at war and or dead. And, you know, and so I didn't have anything to look forward to. I wasn't going to the bars. If I was, then it wasn't a good one. You know, it was down the back alley. But,
right.
You know, looking for a fight. And then it got so bad that I was just in my house all the time drinking and punching walls, you know the deal.
Yeah.
But so that was the only responsibility I had was to show up on Tuesdays and Thursdays at whatever time, 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there every time, you know.
Standing tall.
Yep.
Ready to go.
Yep. So, and
did you feel like, I think one thing we create all these ideas of what things are going to be, right? Right? If I do this, this is going to happen. If I do this, this is going to happen. If we create the reality we imagine that will take place based on our emotional state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And many times that negative insurgency can just overwhelm us. But did you find yourself when you would walk out of there after that time being relieved and feeling better and feeling, can you describe some of those emotions?
I mean, yeah, it was always, usually it took a while to get to that point, but usually it was relieved, you know. But sometimes I would leave pissed off. Sometimes I would leave sad. But for the majority, I would say the majority of it, I just felt like good afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I felt like I was like, shit, I didn't even get to talk about, you know, this thing.
Yeah.
And so I'd try to like remember it for the next time. But yeah, the majority of the time it was relief. But there was, you know, I mean, they can fire you up too.
Holy cow. Oh my God, dude. You know what I love about it? I love that I can be asked questions without any of that insinuated pretense, right? That you'd get, you know, a teammate or someone, they ask you a question, they know what they want the answer to be. They know what they're looking for. There's an underlying context of their kind of peeling your armor off, right?
Yeah.
They want to expose something. And I think a lot of people go through that in their relationships in life. I think we all sometimes, in order to protect our own vulnerabilities, we try and expose other people's vulnerabilities. But when you're in that healthy therapeutic state, man, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Right? They're building your self-confidence up by having you be more introspective. So, you know, one of the beautiful aspects of it is what you walk out of therapy and, you know, most people think that there's this endless period where all of a sudden you're never going to be put back together, right? It take the time for that. And I think it's counterintuitive because what ultimately happens, like whether or not you work on your body, you work on your spirituality, right? You work on whatever. If you do real work, real training, right?
Mm-hmm.
For your mental state, your mental health, man, you're building yourself up every time. You're gaining insight that you wouldn't normally have. And I think what ultimately happens is that confidence in you becomes better than it ever was before.
Yeah.
Because you can start to say, wow, I know why my fear is getting me. I know why my social anxiety is high. I know why this is going on. I understand this. I know what my triggers are. And it just becomes this wonderful place to work through things, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, moving forward in your life, because I know, you went through that, and I saw, I mean, we've been friends a long time now. I saw a profound shift in you, and it was really beautiful. And I just want to tell you how proud I am of you for going through it, man.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, when you were in the midst of it, I remember you would tell me, go see Doc, man. It's the best thing ever. And you really, you came around and in such a powerful way, and then you started Vigilance, right? Was the state you were in, was it similar now to where you recognize, all right, I'm going to start this business, but I'm kind of on my own out there, right? Before we have these great teams in our lives, we have all these people, especially in the teams, right? Everybody's got a role, responsibility. You're the armor, I'm the medic. Everybody is expected to at least play those roles. And then in our community, if somebody needs help supporting that role, you jump in and give them assistance. That doesn't exist out here.
No.
So as you now have processed all this, ability to manage, embrace your fear, you've regained your self-confidence through this beautiful work you did with therapy. Now all of a sudden you're starting Vigilance, man. You're out there on your own. Were you worried that you weren't going to have a team to support you in any way, or who were going to be your teammates in all of this?
Well, when I started Vigilance Elite, I was in therapy. It was in the beginning because I just needed something to fucking do, and but I didn't know who the hell my team was going to be. At first, I thought it was going to be all operators. And it worked for a little while. And then until it didn't, and then I was like, all right, well, I need an apparel guy, and I need a secretary, and I need an assistant, and a scheduler, and a website guy, a marketing guy, all these people, and that didn't work. That didn't work either. And some of that's my fault, some of that's their fault. The whole like I was saying earlier, the whole managing civilians doesn't work like it does in the military or the agency. So,
that's the greatest lesson I've ever lived,
Yeah.
man, is that right there, dude. If you think you're going to manage a civilian like you're going to manage an E4 and a platoon,
yeah,
you're out of your mind.
yeah, exactly. And that's it from what I've seen. I'm sure it worked great for people like Eric Prince, who had all operators under him.
Right.
But
well, I spent a lot of time over there, and I'm going to tell you they had a lot of problems.
yeah,
They succeeded in spite of themselves.
yeah. But it didn't. The operator stuff, that didn't pan out for me personally because I had a real problem in my business with putting people. This sounds horrible, but on my level.
What do you mean by that?
I was used to the way the SEAL teams ran, where everybody's kind of equal until someone you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until
they're not.
The LT and the chief, they can be part of the boys until it's time not to be part of the boys.
Right.
And that's how I was trying to run my business, is I was going to be part of the boys until it wasn't time to be part of the boys, and it's like, all right, now I have to go do adult shit, like run my business. I can't just sit here and fuck off with all you guys and drink,
shoot guns and drink booze.
And but what I've learned is what happens is when you play with the boys thing, you know what I mean? I'm going to be part of the crew too much, then you lose that respect as a leader, and it took me a long time to learn that lesson.
Wow.
It did. It took me a long time. You cannot engage, like you used to be able to you know, with your team.
Yeah.
You are the fucking leader, and you are the example, and you have to, you know, put yourself. You have to act like that. You can't be part of the boys when it's, you know what I mean, and then not,
Right?
Because then they get resentful, and it just didn't work for me in the civilian sector to lead like that.
It's interesting, leadership. And just real quick before we jump back into leadership as it relates to building teams, is I just got to give a quick shout out to people that are on my team right now for the Froglogic podcast. I'm sorry to do this, buddy, but my team for sure is one of them is on it, right? Again, I got to tell you, since meeting Aubrey Marcus a few years ago, On It has been a very interesting part of my growth, right? Aubrey likes to talk about human optimization. And for me, being the fact that I'm a tired, old, crusty SEAL, I think I'm like 129 in SEAL years. My knees are shot. My neck is shot. I'm not going to get in there and start slinging weights around like Tim Kennedy does. And God bless that dude. He's harder than woodpecker lips. God bless. I love it. But I can't do that stuff anymore. Now, I probably could, but I just don't. My body's a little jammed up. So, I have to find the places that would make the impact for me. And one of those places that I always need help with, I believe, is my memory and my focus. As a person that writes motivational content every day, producing motivational ideas and thoughts, a lot of philosophical ideas, a lot of theoretical concepts that go within the human condition, I have to be clear and focused. And many times, as a result of years of playing contact football, years of playing contact bar sports, as well as the amount of blasts that I was in proximity to in the SEAL teams, I always worry that my memory or focus is slipping. But every morning, I wake up, I tell my fiance I love her, I put my tired feet, and kind of stretch and hobble to go take relieve myself in the morning. And I go over, I pull out my Alpha Brain, and I take an Alpha Brain. I have a couple drops of CBD oil and drink a big glass of water, and I start my day like that. And I find that it's really enhanced my ability to where I'm not ping-ponging from ideas all over. Like, one pops up and, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. And I'm not able to stay focused in one specific thing for an extended period of time. Well, On It's Alpha Brain, their benchmark cornerstone product out there, has been a real benefactor for me. I have my cognitive alacrity has improved. I think my ability to stay engaged in one particular thing for an extended period of time is enhanced considerably. And I just think it's a quality, it's a really great product. What I want you to do is don't necessarily, take my word for it, go try it, but really get in there, tell them I sent you over there, Froglogic, right? And check it out and try this and see what it does. Now, trust me, if this was all I was repping, you'd know it. In fact, I'm a big proponent of their gut health. I've had a lot of gut issues in the past from my time overseas, I believe, stuff that the VA still hasn't figured out what the hell's going on, but I'm hoping to get down to that. I got to give them another stool sample here soon. But hopefully with On It's gut health.
Make sure you get the right address.
It's going to do that. But I take the gut health. I do Alpha Brain. I do their power foods. I do their butters. I have MCT oil. I'm fully immersed in the Onic products, man. And because I believe the scientists that got together, that Aubrey found, the medical doctors, the testing they did is all on the up and up. It's legit products. And I think it would enhance your life if you were to try them out. Start out with Alpha Brain. So head over to onnit.com. That's ONNIT. Head over to onnit.com. Tell them I sent you. And get yourself a little Alpha Brain. Test it for 30 days. See if it works. See if there's a difference. And I'll tell you what, I bet you there will be, because I know it's had a huge impact on me. The second team that's been a huge part of Froglogic over the last 6 months is Wise Company. And now I know, Shawn, you live out in the middle of nowhere now. I'm sure you have an underground bunker built. I'm sure you've stockpiled. And you've got a lot more than like a sensor on that one. You have the punji pits around that one, don't you? Right? But in that bunker, I guarantee over the next couple months or weeks, hopefully, next time I got up, we're going up to his wedding here soon. I want to talk about that eventually. Don't let me forget, since I am the minister. But I want to I'm going to bring you a couple buckets of Wise food, man, because this, if you're a prepper, and granted, we've spent the majority of our adult lives preparing for the worst possible day you could ever imagine to happen downrange overseas. But have you prepped for the worst possible day here in America? Are you ready for the next hurricane, earthquake, wildfire, snowstorm, EMP to go out? Hell, are you ready for the zombie apocalypse? Because the number one thing, aside from water, that you got to consider is what your food source is going to be. Now, this is the best freeze-dry product on the market, up to 25-year shelf lives on many of their products. I'm telling you, I've tried just about everything they offer on their website at wisefoodstorage.com. And this is a place that you're going to get quality stuff. Like I said, I've tasted everything. It blows the balls off of all the MREs I've ever eaten. And then there's maybe one or two single products from other groups out there that even come remotely close to how good this stuff tastes. So I'm telling you, if you want peace of mind, because you cannot predict when the next catastrophic event is going to happen. You cannot predict at what level it's going to affect you and your family, but you can be prepared, all right? So you got to go out there. And so I'm telling you what, get some peace of mind, all right? Get out there. And here's the deal. When you go to wisefoodstorage.com, right, and that's the place where they have everything you can think. You can do weekend 3-day survival packs, weekend survival kits. You can do 1 month kit. Hell, you can do 1 year kits. Go over there, go see. I'm telling you, go to the website, wisefoodstorage.com. In your promo code, when you check out, type in Froglogic, and you're going to get 25% off everything they have. That's everything. Right? And they've got these beautiful camping meals. They've got all this emergency stuff. But the food is what you want. The preparedness food, right? The stuff that's going to save you and your family's life. That's the stuff you go buy. Type in Froglogic in your promo code, 25% off, free shipping, and a 90-day money-back guarantee that you can't beat anywhere else, right? This is a great American company that will produce you with the greatest peace of mind you've ever had. That's Wise Company. Just go over to wisefoodstorage.com. Tell them, type in Froglogic, 25% off, man. I promise you, you're going to love it. All right. Sorry about that. We gotta make sure I acknowledge my team out there.
I'm going to have to try that Wise Foods for sure.
I'm telling you, it's squared away, dialed in. I'm going to send you some, all right? And you check it out, and you let me know what you think.
I definitely will.
Cool.
I'll write a review.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I'll write a review. It better be good, though.
Bro, I wouldn't lie to you.
Do they have gummy bears?
Oh, they have THC gummy bears. That's not true. They do not have THC gummy bears. They don't do that. All right? Just kidding. All right. All right, brother. So listen, we've gone through fear, right? We talked about the fear, what got you in, the fear in the teams. We talked about the movement with fear and peer evaluations, peer reviews, the transition out, the ability to how your self-confidence takes a ding on that, all right, and in finding therapy in order to build that self-confidence up every day to manage and embrace that fear, and then the transition from, the teams to nothing and creating your own team for Vigilance Elite, and then how you manage those teams. I mean, that's a very challenging thing. But I know this from my own personal, and I think you and I are similar in a lot of ways, is that, when you create the teams for your life, right, the teams that are going to support you with this, the real meaning of life, which is to have purpose, right? We all have to have purpose. If you don't have purpose, it's the fastest route to higher states of confusion, dysfunctional behavior, social anxieties, all these other things. But when you have clear purpose in your life, it gives you, it anchors you to your ability to withstand the pain of life, right? To walk that pathway of life, that pathway of pain, if there's a purpose on the other end. So how would you describe your purpose now? I mean, what is it that when Shawn wakes up, right, in your bunker, up there in the Tennessee area, you have your beautiful fiance, Katie, with you. You've got, a few select close friends. What is the thing that drives Shawn Ryan to be the man you are? And what's in the future for you? What is your purpose, and how are you going to live that purpose out?
Well, I mean, my primary purpose is to, be the best husband I can be to Katie, and best friend I can be to you and the select few other friends that I have, which can be challenging, but very rewarding, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But other than that, if you want, are you talking business or?
I'm just talking in general, man, the way you approach your life when you wake up, the things that, force you to go a different direction. I know, with Vigilance, when you started your YouTube channel, man, I remember when we were talking and you're like, man, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, wow, this is how hard it is, and this is what it is. And I've been doing it for 10 years, and I only got this, and it's a content monster. You're like, yeah, I think I got that. And here we are a year and a half later. I'm staring at your channel right here as I speak. You were just on the phone. There were 1,000 people in an open chat discussion with a video about one of your videos. And I'm looking at your subscribers, and it's 316,436. That's a massive amount of people that have checked on board to experience, or not to experience per se, but to be available to your opinions on everything from what it started out as guns, what's in your EDC, but now, I mean, brother, you're doing videos about, don't be a dick, social anxiety. I mean, the next one you're gonna do is you're gonna do a video with a therapist, talking about therapy, I assume, or something. I don't know. Is that where Vigilance Elite is going? Is that your next purpose?
So the purpose is tricky, I lose.
How so?
Because when I start to get bored or I see a ceiling, usually it's when I see a ceiling, whether it's a financial ceiling or an exposure ceiling, I get extremely fucking bored and uninterested once I see a ceiling. And so I'll shift focused, or sometimes I just get bored, and so I shift focus, which might mean my entire purpose changes. But right now, Vigilance, the one thing I've learned, and I've heard this a million times in business, is, you got to be having fun. If I'm not having fucking fun anymore in my business, I'm not doing it.
Period. There is no leeway, because, I mean, I interviewed Mike when I was on that, P&Q podcast, and Mike Rowe, famous guy. And one of the big things he talks about is, hey, man, this whole thing that's being spewed out to our youth of America is, follow your passion and follow your dreams. And his whole thing is, hey, man, if you're earning a good living, mm-hmm. and, be passionate about earning a good living.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be this grand sense of elation every time you go to work or do something.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
So
I think the reward, though, you have to be, and if the reward is, financial and that's it, then so be it. If that's what drives you, that's not what drives me.
What does drive you?
I think what drives me more than anything is helping people. You know, I enjoy seeing the progress that people make, and it just, like, you know, when we did that T&Q podcast, and you know, I really opened up on there. You got me to open up about shit that nobody's ever heard, you know, about me. And that was what, a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah. And I still get emails all the time about that, and I can't answer them all, you know, but when you see the impact that you've made on
people's lives,
250,000 people on that video, you know, and a channel that you have 316,000 subscribers and, you know, close to 40 million views. I mean, if you put out good shit, people are going to pay attention, and knowing that if people just pick up one thing, or you save just one person that's on, you know,
on the fence there, I mean, it's all worth it. And it makes me feel good, you know. And that's the great iron, and that's I got to tell you, it's the thing that I love most about watching you, because I know, you know, and for people watching or listening right here, you know, Shawn and I get on the phone once a week, once every 2 weeks, and we sit there and we bitch and moan to each other about how frustrated.
I'm real good at that.
How frustrated we are with what we do next and how we do it and what's the important stuff. But I think it always comes back to this real amazing component of service and what that looks like, right? I mean, it's what got you ultimately in the military. You wanted to feel a truer self-confidence about being a part of a great team servicing America. Now you've created a great, you know, team in Vigilance, and now you're serving this following that you have, these people. And I think by this really substantial shift in going from, you know, how does this Glock shoot, right?
Yeah.
How does this tourniquet work? I mean, that stuff can get stale for anybody, even the viewers. I mean, and there's, you know, 50 gazillion dudes doing that shit. But if you mix in or actually shift focus to these very profound things that what you're seeing is so many people are dealing with, people really respond to that.
Yeah.
And that's a driver for purpose. It enables you to work through the challenges of all the other stuff and keep doing it. I want to ask you something. So many people don't know this about you. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't think they do. But you're the dude that introduced me to Peggy, right? And you know, Peggy, thank you so much for your entire help. Peggy's the woman who enabled me to work through the process of my VA claim, get my disability, go through the whole thing, the just agonizing experience that was for 3 years. How many other guys, and I know you stopped counting after a while, how many people, how many guys, teammates, random guys you met at the agency, how many people have you put in touch with Peggy and helped get their benefits?
Oh man, you know, I honestly have no idea. I was, a long time ago, I kept like a little bit of a tally, but that was like...
Is it 50?
No.
75?
It's probably...
Hundreds?
I wouldn't say hundreds, but I would say we're probably right around 100. But then there's all the people that you've referred.
Oh,
and all the
at least 20 guys I've pushed to her as well.
So, yeah, you know, I mean, and, you know, then I don't know why I was keeping tabs. You know, I was probably kind of
That's
proud of it.
That's what team guys do.
But
you should be proud of it.
But,
think of all those lives that you saved.
Yeah. Well, they saved them, not me. But
you know this, that in the totality of all positive experience, there needs to be a spark.
Yeah.
There needs to be something that triggers the experience. And you were that trigger for all of these human beings. Do you ever get upset sometimes that you know, people sometimes feel are a little ungrateful or don't necessarily come back and give you the thanks or give Peggy the thanks you definitely think she deserves or anything like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of, that's part of the reason why I stepped back.
Right.
It really fucking pissed me off when I would see guys go through that wouldn't give her, thanks, and let alone me. I mean, all I did was just get them in the door and show them the way, and then they take care of the rest. But yeah, they're. I mean, that shit drove me insane, and yeah, that's one of the things that I struggled the most with was resentment, and I still struggle with it because you bend over backwards for somebody, and then I mean, unfortunately, most humans are just fucking shitheads, and they don't want to give you.
I don't believe that, Shawn. And I don't think you're gonna sell that on my show. All right.
All right.
Should we throttle it down just a bit? Are you saying all people have a component of being a shithead in them, or?
I think people have a component of talking themselves into whatever they need or want.
Yeah, selfishness, right?
Yeah.
A narcissism that's kind of under there.
And I think that I've seen
I agree.
A whole lot of that.
Right.
And it got to the point where I just didn't want to feel that anymore, So
that
now
must
I
be
can
hard.
do it online.
That must be hard, though. I mean, with all the good that you're doing and the stuff that you're putting out, and I'd love to see you do something about the VA, and I'd love to see you do something, that shows the system, and maybe you go interview Peggy, or you do something and you follow some dude in through the whole system in the process and maybe expose the VA. I'd love to see you do that, but now you have this direct to consumer sense of service, right? You post a video, there's an immediacy, right? You're connecting directly to them. Is it hard because there's a component of that I've learned and what I do is that when you put it out, you just have to kind of let it go. But if you're good at what you do with staying connected to the people who are trying to be connected to you, you can get not emotionally attached, like they're your new best friend, or you're gonna start, hanging out.
Oh yeah, you can take a special interest in it for sure.
Right.
Is
that hard too with how big everything's getting for you?
It is. And that really. It sucks, man, because you see all these emails come in, and it's people that are telling you how much you've helped them, or maybe they need help, and I don't see them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't answer them all. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day.
Right.
Or I do answer, and then everything else stops. You know what I mean? So I answer as many as I can, but I mean, you just can't. I'm only one guy, and
what would you say to that young kid out there that's 21, 22 years old, dropped out of college, he can't find a job that he likes, he's gravitated towards you and your attitude? What do you tell that kid who all he wants is some kind of validation from you, or all he wants is some kind of for you to be like, for Shawn Ryan to respond to his direct message on Instagram and say, go do A, B, C, D, E, and F. Go do this. What do you tell those kids right now?
I mean, I don't ever say, if it's a real advice thing and they want some real advice, that can't be that. I don't feel like, I think everybody has it would have to be a little more in depth. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, you have to cultivate a relationship.
Yeah.
You need the backstory. You need to understand their personality. So what you believe is that as you're living out this bigger sense of service, this bigger purpose, right, to provide something that benefits other human beings, there is a limitation to it for you emotionally, though, and there needs to be, or can it become a whole different thing that you haven't even dreamed of yet? Is that what you want? Are you excited about the possibilities of how connected and how much help you can give people, or is it back to that sense of fear?
I don't fear it.
Really?
No.
Not even a little bit.
No.
You don't fear those emails saying, Shawn, I want to commit suicide. Help me. What should I do? You don't fear those emails? Because those scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, when I see them, I respond to them. But I mean, unfortunately, that's out of my control.
Right.
And it is not my fault if somebody commits suicide, and I have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing as much as I can.
I do. Yeah.
I'm doing as much as I can. And if I see that, then yeah, I respond to it right away. I mean, and sometimes we police each other. I remember sending you comments that I saw on yours. I mean, you can't, Yeah. I mean, and sometimes people understand it. Sometimes they don't. A lot of times they do understand it, because in half the DMs it'll say, as I know you'll probably never read this, but, and then you respond. And, but, I mean, shit, you got 2 Instagram platforms with a combined of about 150,000, YouTube with 312,000 subscribers, and then, email accounts, Facebook accounts.
You're coming up on impossible. 500,000 people paying attention to you right now.
So does
the pressure of that ever get to you? Does the pressure that I know the content monster gets to you, because it gets to me, right? Yeah. You're always having to come up with something new to put out, and that's challenging, right? But does the pressure of do you ever whittle it down into the numbers that there are 500,000 people waiting for me to do something?
Yeah. It gets to me. That gets to me. And you'll start getting emails. Where's the next this? Where's the next that? Why aren't you doing this? And unfortunately, that builds my resentment up, and it makes me not want to post, because nobody pays me to do this. Yeah. This is free self-help that I'm putting out here, and I want to help people. But when you demand, I won't post. Yeah. So
isn't it funny that people that and I think we all get like this. Once we find a good source of positivity, right? Mm-hmm. We find something that feeds that despair or the suffering that we're experiencing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I love doing the videos with you, right? Because we're doing it. We have a comedic approach. We're trying to make light to it. We're trying to, have fun. Yeah, we've done the serious thing with the other podcasts and this for sure, but there's always a sense of that when we get together, we're providing, this content that has an impact. That's a positive impact. But man, once people get a taste of it, there's a need internally, and they want more, and they deserve more, and you need and it's amazing how that happens. And it's like, wow, I always suggest when I get those, why aren't you doing more of this or that? I always say, hey man, there's a lot of people out there that provide really great content. Go search for them. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? I try and recognize, hey, I appreciate your support of what I'm doing, but there's a lot of information, and I'm like you. Luckily I have Jonna. She helps me with a bunch of stuff, but it's what pops into this brain that I'm going to do next. And that's a lot of pressure to deal with. I mean, it's, people always, I think one of the things when you're talking about purpose, really in that, that up here to serve other people, right? And that's our purpose, I think. And then how we do it, it's still within that purpose, you bear a burden, right? So, with these new style of videos that you're moving towards and the new conversations that we're having about new possibilities for you, what about that stuff is really exciting to you?
There's a lot of stuff that's really exciting. One is the shift. You know, I mean, the last video that I did, you know, the social anxiety one, I mean, I'm not an expert on this at all. You know, I just know what has worked for me and putting that out. And to see how many people are interested in what helps me, I mean, that's like, it's pretty cool.
It's really
you know?
cool. Yeah.
And then also on top of that, the shift from my normal content, which is gun content.
Right.
You know, it's, you know, gun reviews and gear reviews and how to shoot and tactics and all kinds of shit.
Right.
And to see the shift, this goes back to, well, when I get bored, I shift focus and I create, you know, a new purpose or all, you know.
It's funny. I think about it, you know, and I'm staring at your hat, and it's Vigilance Elite, man. There's just as much vigilance we need for our mental health.
Yeah.
There's just as much vigilance we need for our emotional health, right? But yet we'll spend all this time, money, and effort for our physical security and health, right? You know, I'll go out and I'll buy a $5,000 new AR, right? And $10,000 worth of rounds and go to these ranges or come hire you for a days of training at the highest level, right? You know, but what am I spending on my mental health?
Yeah.
What am I spending on my emotional state of being, you know, and what am I doing for that? And I think what's really unique about, you know, us having the courage to go after these new, I don't want to call it genre, these new firing lanes, if you will, right? These new things. It really creates a cool opportunity for us to explore different ways to provide content too. Like, I'd love to see an everyday pocket when you're in the middle of social anxiety, right?
Yeah.
What do you dump out then, right? What's your EDC for social anxiety, right? Yeah. It's certainly not your blade, your light, and your whatever, your brass knuckles, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it's my Bible, right? Some CDB, and
yeah,
you know, whatever it is.
It's really it's cool though, man, and I mean that particular video just stemmed from a Instagram question, you know, like the story questions where, you know, you put it out there, people type a question, you get notified, you answer it. And somebody asked if I had issues with that, and I said, yeah. And I posted it, and then all of a sudden my DMs just started blowing up immediately of people going, oh, man, that helped me, and that I'm going to try that, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, man, I didn't realize this many people deal with that
How
shit.
many? How many do you think? Like, were you able to gauge a sense of how many people it was?
I mean, that was probably over 100 DMs off that one story.
Wow.
You know? And then I sent some feelers out, and I did one on YouTube, poll, do you deal with social anxiety? And 7,000 something people voted in it, and like 70, I think it was 73% said they did. And so I was like, well, maybe I can help some people. So I did the video, and, you know, we'll see how it does. It's pretty fresh. But that just, it's cool to be able to, you know, hopefully that helps somebody.
Wow, I know it is, man. I mean, you've already set yourself apart from all the other guys out doing their, you know, thing. You bring this wonderful humor to it. You bring a somewhat of a abrasive a truth to a lot of it, right? You know, but you bring who you are. And you follow what you believe is an important part of why your purpose is what it is, which is to help people.
Yeah.
And I think the overwhelming majority of all the people that are following, paying attention, the real fans and the real followers, man, they, much like me, just really appreciate what you're doing, dude. It's a powerful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, as time has gone on, I just wanted to bring three things is kind of like what I focus on, and one is I wanted to bring humor. That was the first thing I noticed. It's nobody wanted to bring humor into anything.
Everybody wanted to be so serious.
Yeah, everybody wanted to be such a tough guy. And the second was I just wanted to be comfortable with who I am. You know, I wanted to be comfortable in my own skin. I didn't want to, if you see me out in public, I don't want to have to, like, put a face on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what you see is what you get. And if you don't like it, there's the fucking door.
Right.
You know? And then the third one is just be real, you know? I mean, this social media, you know, YouTube, Instagram, Face, all of it. It's all phony, fake, fucking bullshit.
All of it. You're convinced
that
that
your teeth, you can get rid of your zits, you can make yourself shoot fast, you can do 100 million takes until you get, you know, the sub-second from inside the waistband draw. You know, you can do. Damn.
It's all right. You're cooking. I'll be done in 2 seconds. All right, here we go.
Ready?
Yep.
Where should I start?
Sub-second draw. You can do
you can do the 100 million takes until you get the sub-second draw on video. You can, I mean, everything on, you know, the fitness industry. You could, I mean, shit. They have apps now where you can give yourself abs, you know, and you know, you can go put tourniquets around your arms until your veins are popping out, and then take them off and, you know, show up on camera, and it looks like you're just walking around. And I think people have wisened up to that, and they know, hey,
what's real and what's not.
Nobody's teeth are that white. You know what I mean? Nobody's skin is that smooth. Nobody shoots that damn fast all the time. And almost all of social media has just become this big phony fantasy thing of bullshit. Right. And when I noticed, not even on purpose, is just by being comfortable in my own skin. And, like, if I fuck up on a gun review and I fling a shot, then I fling a shot. I don't redo it. I don't edit it. I don't do anything. I'm like, yeah, well, I fucked that one up. And people appreciate that. They're like, oh, like, this guy isn't Mr. Perfect like everybody else. And
isn't that crazy?
It is.
Isn't it crazy how when you get sucked into essentially the entertainment world in any capacity, right? It's about generating this veneer,
mm-hmm.
right? The veneer, much like that exists in society, the veneer of our security, the veneer of the mental health issue, the veneer that, you know, what we see and what we feel is exactly what it is, man. And it's just not the case.
Yeah.
We're all so far from perfect, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And so that's really been, I think, a huge component of your successful recipe. Did you always know that no matter what, that's how you were going to approach things?
No. I don't really know. I've never been good at being fake, you know?
Right.
And then I really just realized how much of a need there is, you know, for people want to see some real shit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the fake, edited, phony crap anymore. They've wisened up to it.
They're
because
tired
they can't relate to anyone.
Right.
You know? And then you put yourself out there a little bit and I fucking struggle with social anxiety. Yeah, I tried to fucking kill myself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've ruined all my relationships. All that stuff, you know,
I'm human.
Yeah, I'm a human being. You know, and people relate to it.
Yeah.
In a big way. And I mean, and it you know what I think it does is it builds a lot of trust, because if you're going to put yourself out there like that, and you're going to open up and you're going to be real and show flaws, whether it's flinging a shot or, you know, like the real personal stuff that I've talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, it builds people trust you.
Well, for me, it's been a massive component of our relationship together is that there's, you're one of the very few people that I have, 100% confidence and trust you, and it's because when you look, me, I'm Captain Love guy. I tell I love them. I give them hugs. That's what I want, how I want to live my existence. I don't want to be in the other space. But I know when you tell me that, yeah, man, I love you too, or you say it to me online, it like that rips through me. It's because I trust it, because I know that's who you are.
Yeah.
Do you have, and we'll kind of wrap it up now, but as you move forward and you've been through all these things, man, I mean, you have been through a lot of stuff, right? From that young, impetuous, kid who was challenged and, guns, porn, and firecrackers, right?
Every kid should have a stash of guns, porn, and fireworks.
I'm not an advocate of that. I just want everybody to know I don't believe that that's a necessity at all. In fact, Doc Frog will never be promoting that concept, but the truth is, man, I didn't have any guns. But I definitely had a stash of porn and firecrackers and some booze for sure.
Yeah.
Right? But from that point all the way to where you are now, man, you've been through a tremendous amount. Do you feel like now you're finally set up for that next level in your life, that next awakening, to be a husband with that beautiful woman, Katie, to hopefully become a father, and are you going to be prepared when your son or your daughter's stash falls down on your head, and are you ready for that with what you've gone through?
Hell no. I'm not ready. I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be, but I don't think I'll ever be ready. And am I right? I mean, 4 girls.
I every day I have no idea what I'm doing, and man, I can read every child psychology book on the planet, and I still catch myself frustrated and confused and looking to Jonna for an answer she doesn't have, and we're just kind of figuring it out together, and I think that's the beauty of great relationships. It's the beauty of, of having people you can trust, that you can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. I guess, in short, I can't wait to get started, but I don't know if I'm ready. If that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
So, yeah.
Well, Shawn, thanks, brother.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, I can't even... I can't even begin to tell you how proud I am of you. Just in the short time, last few years, what you've been able to accomplish and do, and what you're doing for other people, it's inspiring to me. You're one of the main people in my life that I wake up every day and I think to myself, Shawn's out there doing it. I need to get out there doing it too. So thank you, brother. I love you.
I love you too, man. Thank you for having me, and for all the help you've given me. I mean, it means a lot.
Amen.